learned everything we need to know, but we need to work on this because the quizzes are showing that we haven't mastered this stuff. So let's pretend we're going to look at this circle, because we are. I've got this angle theta, and as you can see, it's in the second quadrant. So you know some things about that right away, right? You know the x value is, and the y value is, right? And what I was looking for there is, you know, the x value is negative, and the y value is positive. So quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. If I told you that the point that theta was a negative 0.214 and 0.632, you would be able to tell me things right away. You know that that represents, and you know that this represents, and what I'm looking for there is, you know that this, the x value, represents cosine of theta, and that this value, the y value, represents sine of theta. So let's pause there and think about that. Okay, now draw a negative theta. So I'm waiting, and you've drawn it, okay, good. Negative theta is the same angle, but going the opposite direction, right? So negative angles move this way, positive angles move this way. I'm doing this because, again, there were some errors on the quizzes, and I want to make sure that we're 100% on it. Okay, now let's look at a series of examples for this problem. These examples down, these are the most basic of the examples we could have. When we're ready, we'll move on. So I'm going to go quick. So you should work these out and then listen to my explanation after you've done all of them. If you don't, you'll miss it. Okay, I'm assuming then that you've worked through them. It says sine of a negative theta. So we go over here. This is a negative theta. We've already drawn it. We're just choosing the y value here. The y value stays the same. The quadrant determines the sign. The quadrant determines the sign. In the quadrant, so third quadrant, both are negative there. So we know it's a negative. We go up here and we pick the sine value, and we're done. Same thing for cosine. Cosine of a negative theta, we write a negative down because the quadrant determines the sign. We go over here and look at what cosine is, and it's 0.214. So we just choose the value that represents. Tangent of theta minus pi. So we go to theta, that's here, and we're going to subtract pi. That means we're going to go this way around. Right, we're going that direction. And remember, subtracting pi is just like drawing a straight line. And so we say that equals y over x. And let's see, the y value is sine, so 0.632 over 0.214. And then again, the quadrant determines the sign. So what's negative here? Right, the y value is. We have positive x value, negative y value. And so there's just one negative, so the whole thing's negative. Cosine of theta plus 2 pi. So we go to theta, and we're going to add, so that means we're going to go this direction, 2 pi. In other words, we're going to end up where we started. So that's going to be just the same thing as cosine of theta. And then sine of theta minus 3 pi, theta minus 3 pi. So we go here, and we're subtracting, so we're going this direction. So that's 1 pi, 2 pi, 3 pi. And we end up back over here, and that would be a negative 0.632. Rewatch that part if you don't understand any of those 5 examples. These new examples, they're in this color here on this side. See if you can do those on your own. What I want you to remember about this type of problem here, when the theta is second, is we need to rewrite it. We need to rewrite it as tangent of Right, where the theta is first, so a negative theta plus pi. That tells us that we need to start over here at a negative theta. We're going to start at a negative theta and we're going to add pi. And I have this thing right here that says adding is this direction. So I know that I go start at a negative theta and I'm going to add pi. So that means I'm right here. So again, it's y over x. So y over x. My y value is 0.632. My x value is 0.214. And then the quadrant determines the sign. I'm in this quadrant. Both are positive. And so I get a positive value for tangent. Let's do the same for this next one. I'm going to rewrite it. Cosine of a negative theta plus 3 pi. And that equals, let's go look. So we're starting at a negative theta. We're going to add 1 pi, 2 pi, and now 3 pi. So we're over here in quadrant 1. We just write the angle down, 0.214. Then it's positive because we're positive in quadrant 1. And that's it. We have 2 more to get through. And then maybe some practice problems. You'll be able to practice them, whatever. But let's summarize some of the things that we've done so far. So here's the picture again. We're going to summarize stuff. Right? Going a positive angle means I'm going this way. Right? Negative angle means I'm going that way. And that's what I was looking for on the quiz, right? So positive is counterclockwise. Negative theta means I'm going clockwise. Okay? That's one summary. Another summary. Quadrant determines the sign, right? Whether it's positive or negative. The quadrant determines that, nothing else. Also, rewrite so that theta is first, like we were doing over here, right? We had to rewrite theta so that it was first. And lastly, do you remember what happens when I have 3 pi over 2 or pi over 2? Something very specific happens. Okay, so let's take that down as well. Adding or subtracting pi over 2 or 3 pi over 2 means that the x values and the y values change places. Adding or subtracting pi over 2 or 3 pi over 2 means the x values and the y values change places. Let's make sure we understand this in context to this problem. I did not see that happening on the quiz, and you guys have to remember that. So here it is. First thing to do. In this case, we're going to look at theta. Here is theta. So let's go back to theta. And the problem said sine of theta minus 3 pi over 2. Right, we were doing sine of theta minus 3 pi over 2. So I'm starting at theta, and I'm subtracting. Subtracting means that I'm going in this order. And when it's pi over 2, you really just need to understand that, look, there's 3 of them. It's like changing a quadrant each time. Okay, so it doesn't matter like if I mark something here or here or here or here or here, who cares? The only thing is, am I in the right quadrant? So let's see. I'm starting at theta, which is right here, and I'm subtracting, so I'm going this way. So I'm going 1 pi over 2, 2 pi over 2, 3 pi over 2. I end up in this quadrant. So that's the important piece. I end up in that quadrant. It's sine, so the value is negative. It'd be negative either way. And that's really what I've gotten out of it, is I know now the fact that it's negative there. And then because it's 3 pi over 2, I don't write the sine value down, even though it says sine. I don't write that down because the x and the y change places. So instead, I just write the number that's here. I write 0.214. And that's what we mean by the x values and the y values change places. Okay, so let's do this one now too, cosine pi over 2 minus theta. So we're starting at minus theta. And it's again cosine of pi over 2 minus theta. So I'm starting there and I'm adding. If I'm adding, I'm going this direction. So I'm adding just one quadrant. So I'm going to be somewhere over here. It doesn't matter where. Is cosine positive or negative there? That's right. It's positive. So I'm going to go back over here and write plus. And then because it's pi over 2, right, because it's pi over 2, I'm not choosing the cosine value. I'm choosing the sine value because they switch places. Alright, I'm going to give you practice problems. It'll be only a minute more. You'll do them and then, you'll be able to check your work. Alright. Furman, though, I bet you haven't written this down yet, so you probably should do that. Joe, you better write that down too. For the problem, write that down. First half of the problems, there's another page coming too. Don't forget you need to draw your circle, or you'll not know which of these quadrants are where. So then write them down, and then all I'm going to do is pause this, show the answers so that you can check your work, and we'll be done. Solutions for the first 3 rows of problems. 4 rows of problems. Here are the rest of the solutions.